Alrighty, welcome to the Throw Zone. I'm your host, Big Kev. Today we have a very special episode. My former teammate, Axelina, is here with us, so I just wanted to let her introduce herself and we'll get rolling.
Hi everybody, I'm Axelina Johansson. I'm a 2024 Olympic finalist. I'm competing for Sweden, but I'm studying in Nebraska, and I'm a 2023 NCAA championship. I've also been to multiple world championships and European championships. So I've been throwing shot put for a long time.
Yeah, so she's very decorated. We're very lucky to have her on the podcast. So as we get going, I just want to take a quick moment to give a thank you to some of our sponsors. Here we have Lincoln Mics. They supplied our microphones for this podcast. So if you're in need of any custom microphone work or in need of microphone repair, click the link in the bio and go get some information from them to get set up. And remember, if you do pay with Bitcoin, they do offer 50% off. So we're very thankful for our sponsor, and we'll get going. So I guess looking at this podcast, we like to learn about our guests and like how they got interested in the sport of throwing. I know that's something people are always interested of, like, what made you get started with throwing? Like, why shot put and not soccer or other sports?
Yeah, I mean, throwing is such a random sport, I feel like. So not a lot of people knows about it and do it. But I started with track and field when I was like 7 years old. But I did all events. I wanted to be a multi when I started. But then I got problem with my knees when I was like 13. So I didn't do any running or jumping. So I could like basically just do throwing. And I discovered I was pretty good at it. So it made it more fun. And then I started with doing like all the throwing events. But then it was more like hammer, discus, and shot put. And then I just like dropped one event after another because I was like best at shot put. And I thought it was most fun too.
So when you started doing track and field, was that something that you had like a club to do or school, or what organization did you join to get started with that?
Yeah, so in Sweden, track, like sport and school is like separate. So I started in a little club and had like practice twice a week.
So it was more just for fun?
Yeah, it started out for fun for sure. My parents just wanted me to do like a sport, and my grandpa did pole vault. So that's kind of how it started out with track and field. I tried soccer once, but I discovered I was not very good at it. So
yeah, I gave up soccer as soon as I figured out I could stand in front of the goal and no one else could score when I was like 5, and got me out of doing all the running. So that was the end of my soccer career. But no, I guess we're more interested in what you have to say for your story, since it's different and unique than a lot of other people's experiences, because you actually went halfway across the world to Lincoln, Nebraska, of all places. I love it here. I'm not hating. But no. So how old were you when you decided that, like, I'm gonna like leave everything and I'm gonna go to a country they're not super familiar with, and a city/town that you probably never heard of?
yeah, I feel like I had in mind that I wanted to go to the US when I was like maybe 16, 17. I just saw like people on my Instagram going there, and I was like, yeah, that looks kind of fun. But it wasn't until I was like 20 that I was like, yeah, I actually want to go. So I started to look at different schools. I was looking at different like throw pages on Instagram, and came across Bison Throws. And I saw that they had like really good progress. Like the coach seemed to be really good. And
That would have been about the time Peyton Otterdahl was just getting finished up through there.
Yes, so Peyton was there, and I know he was an Olympian. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. So yeah, they actually sent me a DMs and was like, "Hey, are you interested coming to the US?" When they saw that I started to follow them, and I was like, "Yeah, yes, of course, yeah." So I started to talk more with Justin, who was coach at North Dakota State University, and we got along really well. I really liked the way he's coaching, the way he's programming, and he just.
So you committed to go to India originally?
Yes, I committed to NDSU, and then
probably June or July is what late June is when it was announced that Coach Sinclair was coming to Nebraska.
Yes, he was moving to Nebraska, and he was like, "Do you want to come with me?" And I was like, "Of course." Like I moved to the US because of you. So that's kind of how I ended up in Nebraska.
Yeah. So then when you were like growing up, progressing through the shot put, do you have like a memory or like a day or just like a time where you're like, "Oh, I like this. Like I want to just pursue this at a higher level." Like for myself and a lot of other people like from the United States, since shot put, the track and field is like a major event. Most of the time is you played football and then you did it, and then shot put's fun. Emphasis on shot put is fun. And then you eventually just kind of see something about like throwing in college, or you kind of have that bubble happen and you kind of get an idea of, oh, I throw so this far, throw, different events. And then you decide that I want to throw in college. And that's when you kind of get that little groove of, okay, I need to keep progressing to throw this far. So when you were in Sweden, was there ever a time that you wanted to be on like national team, or just that spot where you decide that I'm not doing this for fun as much anymore, but I can do this and be really successful?
Yeah, I feel like I always knew since I was like a kid, like I want to be a pro athlete. I didn't know like what event kind of. But I knew that I wanted to try my best to like become a pro athlete, because I watched all these like world championship and the Olympics when I was younger, and I was like, oh, I want to be there too.
And you did.
But obviously it wasn't until I was 16 and I went to the under 18 European Championship, where I was like, yeah, this is what I want.
Yeah,
this is so cool. Like I want to do this for a living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then once you got to that stage, then you worked up to the point of when you started seeing more coaches and ended up coming to the US. What was it like in terms of just like the emotions of leaving everything that you understood and saw on a daily basis behind? Like for me, I moved from Omaha to Lincoln. I left my laptop charger at home my first day of college, so I just went home after school and got it and ate dinner with my parents and came home. It's kind of a long drive to Sweden from here, so.
Yeah, it was definitely very tough because my native language is Swedish. You can probably hear that I'm not from the US on my accent. So yeah, just like learning English basically. I knew how to communicate, and like I was pretty good at understanding what people were saying, but it's also like people here have different accents, and that was very like I'm not used to that because in school they have like just like I don't know what to say, but like it was the basic accent, like American accent.
Yeah, Nebraska's pretty chill, luckily.
Yeah.
No, and then I guess another thing that you even mentioned in the past was picking up the American slang, all the different terms.
Yeah.
Finding the jokes and things.
Yeah, just like the social code is very different, like how the people here are like joking with each other, and just like how you guys interact with each other is very different. I feel like back home we are very introverted, and we kind of, I don't know.
And in Nebraska, it's kind of weird if you don't say hi to someone else.
Yeah, like here you say hi to a stranger, and like I remember my first day here, I was in the elevator and this lady comes and she's like, "Oh, I like your skirt," and I was like, "What?"
like leave me alone. I don't know you.
No, like I think it's super nice, but I was just like not used to it at all. Yeah, so yeah, I really like it, but it was just a big culture.
Well, as a native Nebraskan, I find it weird when I go somewhere and people aren't excited to say hi to me. Mm-hmm. Like I was in DC visiting my fiance Haley, and when she lived there this last semester, And I like would walk by someone. I'm like, "Oh, how's it going?" And they kind of like look away from me.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I forget to
Yeah, like
my
what a
teacher.
weirdo.
Yeah, like what's wrong with me? But no, then do you find it to be an easy transition to where you just showed up and you're like, sick, we're lifting, we're throwing, here we go.
Um, yes and no. I would say it probably took me like 2 months to kind of get into it because I feel like the language is the biggest thing. Like school is in English. Like if I talk Swedish, nobody would understand. So you're like forced to speak Swedish, to speak English. I mean, so like just in school, how to figure that out and practice. Like I know how to practice, so that was not very hard. Like
Yeah,
give
that was the
me
fun
a
part.
time and I'd be there. You know.
I think one of your first days, I watched you non-reverse 18 meters, and our lines are in feet. And then I saw it go over the 60-foot line, and my eyes got like this big. And then I was like, that was 60 feet. And I remember correctly, you're like, whatever, I don't know what that is. Like, that means nothing to me.
Yeah. We use meters in Sweden, so feet. I had no idea like how far I threw.
Yeah, no, I always thought that was funny. But it's like looking back, was there anything that you thought was really helpful for your like transition to America? Or that now you've been here for a few years, if you could go back and tell yourself like some like word of advice or a strategy you use to help like accommodate to the different, I guess, culture and everyday tasks?
Yeah, I looked a lot of like I watch a lot of YouTube videos in English and try to watch a lot of movies in English without subtitles and stuff like that, just to like get used to the language. So I think that definitely helped a lot. But I feel like I was very lucky here because I had so many people that like came and helped me. Like you, Kevin, I remember like the first day I got here, like
Trying to find that, going to Walmart and try to help you find.
yeah, he helped me like buy stuff I needed for the dorms, and we. So
I was just thrilled she knew what Swedish fish was.
yeah, so like back home we have duvet covers. Like when we sleep, we don't use comforters. So when we went to Target or we went somewhere, we were looking for this duvet cover, and I was like, I can't find it. Like where is it?
If I remember correctly, you couldn't remember the translation for duvet.
Yeah, I
heard that
didn't
word.
know. Like I just thought it was like a blanket. Like I didn't even know I had another word. I thought that's what everyone was.
And I just was like, dang, she's very picky on what blanket she needs to buy.
Yeah, so Kevin, he calls his grandma or mom or something, and he was.
No, I tried to find someone to interpret what was going on.
Yeah. But anyways, like I had like a lot of people who helped me transition here and like invited me to hang out. And I feel like Nebraska has a very good academic department and you can get a lot of help from there. So I think
Making sure you have like someone to help with like tutoring,
yeah, you can
things
get
like
tutoring.
help you learn, and just make sure that you know you're on the right track.
Yeah,
No
exactly.
doubt.
Yeah. So I got a lot of help from my surrounding, which was very, very helpful. But I would say if I would give advice, it would probably be if you're from a foreign language, like foreign country, then get listen to a lot of English, like be surrounded with it, and maybe read books if you like that. I don't really like to read, so I didn't do that. But
No, I actually another former teammate, Alan Carr. Shout out to Alan Carr. He told me when he was learning English, in Brazil, he was playing Grand Theft Auto on his PlayStation, and he learned English initially from following along the closed captions, the storyline for a game on the PlayStation.
yeah, my brother is actually also learning English from video games and stuff like that. So if you're into that, that's another channel. Yeah, just try to speak English or at least like listen to it.
Yeah, so I think that's a good spot there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess another question that would be really interesting for your input. So if you're out there moving to a new country, did you have any like, especially if you spoke a different language before, trying to interpret your coaching cues in English and trying to put it into what you understand? Because I like, in my experience, like coach can tell me something 4 different ways in a language I spoke my entire life, and only one of those ways would actually work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to now, if you have the same situation, and now you're like, oh, I have to translate and like just sync everything together?
Yeah. I would say I'm like a visual learner. So if my coach says something, like I remember when Sinclair was giving me a cue and I didn't understand, I told him like, hey, can you show me how I am doing it? And then show me like how you want me to do it. So I can see the differences. And then I can in my own head like think, okay, what do I have to do to fix that? And
Do you find it to be challenging, or is that like a good strategy to?
I didn't think it was that hard to understand the English cues because I followed like a lot of throwing sites on Instagram and heard people talking about throwing in English. So it wasn't that hard, but it definitely helped like when Sinclair like showed me how to do stuff.
Yeah, so that could be something helpful if you're getting coached by someone not your native tongue. That could always be just having them show you. I know for me, I'm someone that I need to do it to understand it. So I know even Coach Sinclair really found that if he just took my arms, like moved me around, that was really helpful for me. So I think having some kind of strategy like that could also help fill that little gap of going from what you don't know to what you know. And then coming to the, I guess, NCAA system, did you ever feel like it took you a little bit or any different like emotions of competing, or is it just competing, still competing?
Yeah, I don't think that was very different. I would say it yeah, I mean competition is competition. But back home,
About like the whole like procedure though of how like traveling works here. So like we'd had a lot of meets in Arkansas, how we would have like a bus go down, we stay at the night in the hotel, practice, and it might be another couple of days before you compete.
yeah, we do definitely more traveling here than what I was used to back home. Um, but
Did you have any challenges with that, or is it just getting adapted to it?
I didn't have that much problem with it because I was kind of used to travel back home too. Like I've traveled to different countries and competed there before. So I already had like a lot of experience coming here, but I can imagine like if you're not used to traveling before you start college, that's going to be a big challenge because you're gone like a lot and you miss a lot in school. So you kind of have to be on top of yourself.
Yeah. So just to get this straight, so you come to a new country, live somewhere totally new, don't know anyone before you move here, and you're learning in a language that is not your primary language. And then a few months into that, you're on the road all the time. Uh, do you have any like strategies in order to like stay up with your academics, or just did you have to do a lot more planning, or was there anything in that ballpark that someone else could you would tell yourself earlier to what you do now?
Uh, I I would just say like stay on top of it, like plan your days, like when am I gonna study and stuff like that. Like just be organized and don't procrastinate. I like to get my stuff done like way ahead of time because it stresses me out. Like if I have a paper due tomorrow and I haven't started, like
Yeah.
I would be so stressed right now because I'm not very good at writing. So I like to like if I have a paper due on Sunday, like I'm starting on Monday, and I just work a little bit on it every day, so I have time to like I don't know finish it.
And then feel good.
Yeah, and then feel good about it, and not have to like stress because if you stress, like practice is gonna be affected by that, and
Sleep, recover.
sleep, recovery, like everything. So I like to stay on top of
Yeah.
school and be organized.
Yeah. And then you're in a very special situation to where you've been to a couple world championships while in college, as well as the Olympics, which is probably one of the biggest athletic premieres like in the world. I mean, what is it like you have to do indoor season, an outdoor season, and then you have all the extra lengths of your season for more the competing with all these professionals that their whole life is catered to like these couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. There's a lot of competing. But I think if you have it, like if you are prepared for it, then it's easier to like handle it. And me and Sinclair like have a very good connection, and we can like I'm not doing all the competitions we have in the NCAA, like the NCAA season. So
It's very strategic.
Yeah, like I choose which competitions I'm gonna do, so I'm not like
You're
doing
not
too
burnt
much.
out.
Yeah, so I'm not burnt out when I'm going home in the summer and to Europe and compete my European season.
Yeah, so if someone's coming to the U.S., highly recommend just playing out with their coach, everything through that.
Yeah, I would say like if you're moving to the US from a different country, like make sure you have a very like good connection with the coach, like you are on the same like level, like that they are respecting your European season and stuff like that. Because I know that a lot of coaches is like, yeah, it's only the NCAA that matters, and I mean it is, because normally you get like a big scholarship and
To perform.
to perform in the NCAA's competition.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, but like
Just having
just
the mutual understanding.
Yeah.
Like that there's still more to my season after this.
Yeah.
And that'll look good for both directions, on the coach and the athlete.
Yeah, because what actually matters is you perform at Big Tens, you qualify for nationals at regionals, and you perform at the NCAAs. So you have 3 competitions you basically have to perform on.
Yeah.
And if you,
the other
stuff doesn't really, it's just like practice for those meets, in my opinion.
Yeah. You're one of the best in the world, Axelina, and this is catered to up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, like, just talking about the experience of, like, this was your first Olympics, and this is, like, you going to Olympics has been, I know, on your mind since you first came here. That was one of the first things I remember. That was just talking about goals, and that was like, yeah, I'm going to make the Olympics. Are you much of a visualizer, like writing your goals out somewhere? What was your process to just like checking off, make sure you're on track?
Good question. I feel like I'm not writing down stuff. Like I'm not doing that. I'm more like I'm having it in mind.
Just thinking about.
Yeah, I'm just thinking
visualizing.
About it. Yeah. I mean, the Olympics is like it's the biggest competition you can be at, and the most like precious achievement you can do. So
yeah, it doesn't matter where you're from.
Yeah,
everyone knows what the Olympics is.
Yeah, so become an Olympian like has been a goal like since I started with track basically. And like every year there's normally a type of championship, which is like my biggest goal, like performing that day. And then I just like work towards that, like 1 year.
So you take everything as one little step at a time.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. But of course, like I'm thinking about the future too. But I'm like, if I have,
you have your big picture and you have your little steps.
Yeah. Yeah. For example, like I want to do good at the 2028 Olympics in LA. But that's 3 years ahead. But this year we have like both indoor worlds and outdoor worlds. So I want to do good there. You know, so I'm just taking a little step at a time. Yeah.
Exactly. No, and then, I guess this kind of spring season, you were still trying to make sure you're qualified for the Olympics. What was it like with like the anticipation of, okay, I know I'm capable of this. I just got to get a throw to hit my qualification.
Yeah.
How do you manage the stress of that?
That can be very, very, very stressful. Like, knowing that you have to hit the mark to go to like to achieve your dream, basically, like that is very, very, very stressful. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just keep going. I don't know, like just practice, take one practice at a time, and try not to like think, okay, yeah, I have to throw this far to go to the Olympics or whatever it is. It's more like, okay, I gotta focus on this technique detail, and that's gonna make me throw far. So I just gotta like focus.
Very technique oriented, because I feel like a lot of people can relate to whether you're trying to qualify for just your high school state meet, or even if you're in college trying to get a mark to your coach brings you to conference. That I feel like a lot of times people are like, all right, we're going big on this one, you know, grip and rip.
Yeah, that doesn't really work, I don't think. I think for shot put, like you can get away with grip and grip a little bit when you're like super strong. But like,
I was the most technically sound person ever.
but like
Look at my highlights.
yeah, I'm not very strong, so I can't get away with grip and grip. Like I have to have good separation. I have to like work with my legs. Like I have to use my whole body to throw far.
I would like to just take a moment to say that is absolute cap. You are in fact strong.
No, but like compared to the other girls out there, I feel like
I guess I understand what you're
like
saying.
I'm strong for being like a normal woman, but compared to the people, like the women I compete against, it's
The gals that front squat 500.
yeah, like I'm just not there. So I need to have like good technique to throw far. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's very important. I think a lot of people would like to know that you just have to kind of block out the idea of I need to hit this goal today and I have this distance. And more of the, if you think, okay, if I can execute what I've been practicing, everything will line up.
Yeah, you gotta have patience. Like patience is the key to success. I know Ponce was talking about that in the last episode, and it's just so true. You gotta have patience. You gotta work one step at a time, and you will succeed. You know.
Yeah. So speaking on like the whole term of patience, so how do you manage the feeling? Like it's different for everyone of your own like limitations on yourself of knowing when I'm not trying hard enough and get people that get that confused with like I'm doing too much. Of just understanding like Coach Sinclair would always talk about you have to find the edge of the mountain, and if you fall off, like that's when you tear something, and just sticking to that edge. How do you process that? Because you've made it to be one of the best in the world. Like it's like you have these big accomplishments and big aspirations. How do you know that you're pushing yourself to get there, and that you're
I would say, I mean, I have a really good coach that gives me my program. Like, you have to do this and this.
So you say having a coach is really that
100%. If you don't have a coach, I would probably like reach out to different like pros or like, yeah, like do your research. Like throwing 7 times a week, it's not gonna like make you.
And if you're interested in more information, you can always send a message to the Throw Zone, and we'd be happy to help find some resources or get you pointed in the right direction there.
Yeah.
No, having the right coach is good. Like even like when I was in like high school, I always really looked up to Kobe Bryant and all the stories of he'd wake up at 4 a.m. And he would go train, and then he'd take a nap, but he'd go train again. And my sophomore year, I was playing football and I was doing basketball, and I wanted to throw. So we would have football practice at 6, then we go lift, and then we would do football, basketball practice, and I'd go throw.
Oh, wow.
I'd go home, and then I would go throw after dinner because I was bored. And that was just like summer vacation, and I thought that's what it took to, be a big dog.
Yeah.
And I just remember my elbow hurt so bad, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's not right here.
I think that a lot of like a thing that most people like beginners forget about is that recovery is as important as like your training. Like when you practice and when you lift weights, you break down muscles, and if you just keep like go to the gym like every day, like you're just breaking down your body. You don't let it like rebuild itself. So like we lift like 4 times a week during off season and 3 times a week in season, and then like you can just change the amount of work you do in those days and stuff like that. So like, yeah, I don't know, but like,
well, do you have any, like when you think of you need to focus on your recovery, do you have any strategies or exercises that you may do? Like in my experience, we did a lot of like contrast, the whole you hop in the hot tub, hop in the cold tub, back and forth. That was my favorite thing to do. Do you have any other strategies that you implement that's okay, I just, had a really tough day. I just squatted, did some heavy cleans, ran some sprints. Like how is your process of I need to start getting myself recuperated? Like how do I recover faster?
now I would say like sleep is like the biggest thing. Like you need at least 8 hours. Like
Go to bed on time.
Yeah,
Stop
like
watching this at midnight.
Yeah. Sleep is so important. That's when you like release all the growth hormones, like your body can repair itself. So I would say that's like the main stuff. That's what I like when I was younger. I didn't have anything like all these fancy like boots and like compression boots, and I didn't have stuff. So I was just like trying to sleep and just like rest your body. Like if you have a hard practice, yeah, maybe go home and like chill. I wouldn't like go for a hike after that, like
Yeah, you're not gonna go play some recreation basketball.
Yeah, or like if you play soccer with your friends after, that's gonna make you tired too. Like of course you need to have like a balance in your life. Track is not everything, like you gotta have a life outside of track too. So but still keep in mind that like
your body
needs to rest. Like if you break it down hard, like if you had a really, really hard day of practice with like squats and deadlifts, and stuff like that, you're gonna need.
You're out of commission for the day.
Yeah, like you're gonna need to rest,
So with the whole like finding a balance between like throwing training and all that stuff, when you have that time frame, like days that you just finished like rack pulls where like your nervous system's shot, like what is like your favorite like leisure activity to do, or that you find to be relaxing to where it's engaging, that you're enjoying doing something that's not just like sleeping,
Yeah.
Things of that sort, like you're done but it's something you find enjoyable?
I really like to crochet, so I like to do that, but I also like to hang out with friends, just like chill and hang out with friends, just like talk, and or like cook food or do something.
Cooking food is always appreciated.
Yeah, like I like to try new recipes. I really like that. Like, yeah, so yeah, that's kind of what I do.
Yep. And so having that has always been a good balance. That's something we covered on the last episode. But in terms of recovery, you mentioned sleep. Would you think nutrition has anything to help with that?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Definitely. You gotta make sure you eat your protein, carbs, fats, and veggies.
I feel like sometimes people are so concerned about like carbs are bad, or like if they're afraid of, carbs are scary.
Yeah. No, you need carbs to like function, like that's the fuel for your body, so I would say like if you don't have a lot of knowledge about nutrition and stuff, I would probably do some research on it. You like if you do a lot of heavy lifting, you should probably eat like 2 grams of protein per kilogram body weight.
For all the Americans in this, about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight.
Yeah.
Like one.
And just like also try to eat a lot of like veggies and stuff like that, because it contains like good vitamins and minerals and stuff.
Immune system boost.
Yeah, to boost your immune system and just like your body needs it to like function,
Nutrition is like kind of an underrated thing. That's something that in my experience, even like my freshman year, I was like, oh, food, protein, I eat this. And then I didn't really balance things out. I didn't really understand the importance of why can't I just eat this pile of steak? Like, why do I need to eat rice? Why do I need to do that?
Yeah.
Do you think that's been like a big boost? And knowing you personally, I know how picky you are in terms of days of competition, of like you are very controlled of what you eat.
Yeah. I'm trying to eat healthy. Like I feel like here in the US, it's a little bit harder. Because you guys have so much like fast food stops and stuff like that when we go on travel trips and stuff like that. But yeah, I like to eat just like clean carbs, protein, and
So like, what's your favorite pre-meet meal? So for all the people out here that, they have a meet coming up and they're looking for something to eat and they're not going to go eat like, a couple Big Macs before. Like what would be like your go-to? Do you have a go-to meal?
I don't really have a go-to meal because when you're on travel, I feel like it's hard to find the same thing every time. But I really like Thai food, so like a red curry. Also, that's so good. Or like I think burgers are good too. Yeah, I would not eat like fried chicken or something like that probably.
Dang, no Raising Cane's.
It's also like I recently discovered that I have celiac. So I found it out in April that I have celiac. So I'm very limited right now. So I think I'm actually like gonna bring my own food when we travel and stuff. Yeah.
Be aware. So it's
Yeah.
be aware of things.
This year, yeah.
Yeah. So then I guess kind of transitioning here. So you did achieve your dream this year. And I was at a couple competitions that happened of you hit your qualifying. I believe that was in Baylor. Was that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the emotion of like being in, Texas and just a regular track meet and then boom, like, oh, like right there, that just like made the dream real.
Yeah. Oh, it's just like, you just worked so hard for it and then you just managed to do it. It's just such a like relief too, because it's very, very, very stressful to like try to qualify for something. So qualify it early in the season, it just takes a big weight off your chest.
Was it like more disappointing that the meet got rained out for the boys and I didn't get to throw, so I just got to cheer away?
Yes. I feel like we were so like unlucky with the weather last year. It was like thunderstorms every meet we went to.
Yeah, no. So the timeline, Axelina hit her qualifying mark. We were all excited, running around. I think I was trying to stretch out and run around and jump around at the same time. And then we had a huge rainstorm and had to seek shelter. And I don't think any of us could have been more soaked. We jumped in a pool. Yeah. So then, did anything change in your head when that happened that you felt like a relief or like something different for training is going to happen?
Yeah, I feel like you definitely can focus more on technique and like just be more like calm when you practice and focus on what you have to do, instead of be like, have to do like.
And so then a couple months later, once the season was done and you got to go to the Olympics itself, what was it like just in terms of like the travel to the Paris Olympics and just like that whole like your first steps like when you got there to the village?
Yeah, it was a long travel because I flew out from Lincoln to Paris, and the day I was flying out, it was like a thunderstorm. Like, yeah, the weather was crazy, so my flight got delayed. So I missed my connection from Chicago to Paris. So I had to like stay an extra night in Chicago and then fly out the next morning to Paris. So it was it was a long travel, but just like coming and like see the Olympic Village was just like, wow.
Because how far in advance did you get there from when you had to compete?
I was there like a week before. Maybe a little bit more than a week, 8 days, something like that, because I wanted to have some time with the jet lag.
New time.
Yeah, the jet lag takes a few days to get used to. But yeah, the village was I don't know how to describe it, but it was just so big, and it was just so much people in there. I think it was like 13,000 people, like athletes from all over the world inside that.
Did you do much of the pin training and stuff like that?
I did. That was a big thing. It was just so fun. Like you had so for those who doesn't know, like you get pins from your nation that you can trade with other countries. So yeah, on your credential, you put like the pins. So mine was like mine was covered in pins from all over the world. So that was really fun.
Did you get meet like a lot of even like athletes from different sports even?
Yeah. Athletes from all over the world doing different sports. Some countries had like different pins depending on what sport they did. So yeah, it was very cool and a fun activity to just like get your head away from the competition to just like relax and do something fun, and also to interact and get new friends. Yeah.
Yeah. So then once you got there, what was it like also too having so many people there in terms of like you had not just like having your coach there, but like you had a few other teammates from Nebraska that were there. P Train was there and a lot of other people that like, pretty well. Did that help at all?
I think, yeah, definitely. Having people, I mean, it helps you relax and like, also have more fun. You can hang out with friends. So I was very, very lucky that I knew a lot of people. I knew like everyone from our national team that's in track and field. We had Till from Germany, Michaela Sani. I lived with her my freshman year here in Nebraska. She's not here anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, so I was hanging out with her. Peyton was there too. Yeah, Kajsa Marie Lindfors.
Yeah,
one of my best friends. That was so cool. Like, we have been best friends since we were like 15, 16. And I remember when we were kids, we are going to the Olympics, like together. And we did.
No, that's something not many people can say.
Yeah, that was so cool. Yeah.
And so then, like, you made it to the big dance. You're there. You're there a couple of days, and you're finally having like it's time to compete. Like it's go time. How did you manage all the stress and emotions of a big competition? Even if someone listening may not go to the Olympics this next coming year, but like that's still the matter. Like what your big stage is, whether that be the whatever meet we talked about earlier, that's like your state meet or your conference meet. Like how did you handle your emotions and just stay focused?
I tried to not think about, okay, yeah, this is the Olympics. It happens like once every 4th year. You have 3 throws. Like if you don't throw far enough, you're not like that's it. I tried to like think more. Okay, this is like a normal competition. I've competed against these girls multiple times before. It's basically like a world championships, like it's the same people that's there that's going to be at the Olympics.
So having experience in major competition.
Yeah, that definitely helped a lot. And
so finding another competition.
Yeah, that's similar to the one where you're competing against the same people, basically. Yeah, and just try to think, okay, what do I have to do to throw far? Yeah, I got to think about this and this, and then just try to execute that.
Yeah. So then getting into the circle and then making the finals, what did it feel like to know, oh, I get to throw again?
Oh, that was crazy because I did not think I made it to the final. Like after when I was done and we left the rings to go through mixed zone, like all the media, like I did not think I made it. I thought I placed 13th. But they had this cool thing where they connected like my family to a screen, so I could like talk to them right after when I came to the mixed zone, and they were like, "Congrats!" Like they were going crazy and we're so happy, and I was like, "What? Like, did I made it?" And they were like, "Yeah, you went to the final." I was like,
"Oh, you didn't even know?"
What? No, so I didn't know. I found out from my family that I went to the final. Oh, so that was just like, oh my god. Like I made it because that was my big goal. Like this year, I want to make it to the Olympic finals. So finding out that I made it, it was just like, oh, yes, yeah.
No, that's awesome. I know watching it here, I think Haley was tearing up. Not to point any fingers at Haley or anything, but no, that stuff is like it was wild. Just having that. So having that experience of making Olympic finals at your first Olympic appearance at like a young age in college, like how do you think that's gonna like benefit you for the rest of your career now in terms of like major comps?
Yeah, I definitely learned a lot from this Olympics. I feel like it's Olympic year. Like this is what I thought. Yeah, everything I have to do is perfect. I have to sleep a lot. I have to eat good. Like I have to, you have to do everything perfect. Like no partying, nothing, like stupid that can make you injured. And that was just not very smart. I feel like you have to have like a balance. Like I'm just talking from my perspective now. Like you need to have a balance in life. Like track is not everything. You need to do other stuff that is fun. Like I think it's fun to go out partying. Like you should obviously not do it like every weekend, but if you do it once in a while, it's not gonna hurt. Like if you're smart, you know. And taking away stuff that is fun for you is not gonna make you feel very good, especially if track is not going as good as you want it to go.
Exactly. I feel like a big problem people might have is when they become so obsessed with like trying to find one thing that is them. Like if you attach all of your self-worth into like I'm a shot putter, or even like different instances where if you're a really good student and have a really good GPA and you get A- in a class, like it's like that, just knowing that you're more than just one thing that you identify as in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you say people should go about, or like something you would tell yourself for whatever you felt like you've had like a bad meet or one of those like, actually, no, you are a shot putter. Why'd you do bad? Like, I feel worthless. Like,
Yeah.
how would you like help yourself with that?
I would say do stuff that you think is fun too. Like you can't do track. Like track cannot be on your mind like every day, every minute. Like do stuff outside of that that you think it's fun. Yeah, my sports psych said to me like if you do like one boring thing in the day, you should do 5 other things that is fun. So you're not only doing like boring stuff.
Yeah, because some of that stuff, like it does get boring sometimes, having to eat healthy all the time.
Yeah, like it's a job. Like I think it's off season. I think it's so nice. You can just be a normal human being. Like you don't have to like eat regularly. You don't have to like.
So then that brings up another thing. Do you think it's important, like that you should or should not have some time that you're not throwing in the year? Because I know a lot of kids that I've spoke with always talk about like I need to throw every weekend if I want to be better.
Yeah, no. At least from my perspective, like I need to do something else too. Like my off season, that's like the best season. Like
yeah,
I think
take a break, let the mind.
Yeah. Like if you think track and field is like the most fun thing ever, yeah, then like go ahead and throw. But I don't think it's the most funnest thing ever. Yeah, so I like to do other things too. Like if I have the chance to go out and travel and go on vacation, I would do that during off season. And
because that's all part of like you said with balance.
Yeah, and I feel also like if you have practiced so hard, like for like a whole year, I think you deserve some time off too,
Let the body heal.
Let the body heal. Like when you train so hard, you're gonna hurt,
I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Especially from, you just made the Olympic team. Like having someone of your position also put that out there. And I think a lot of kids are so used to the like, I need to lift 7 days a week. I need to go throw 7 days a week.
Yeah, no, you gotta let your body heal too. Like if you do that, it might work for a little while, but you're gonna get injured. Like I'm sorry to say it, but it's gonna catch up and you're gonna get injured. And yeah, just be smart. Like your body need to recover too,
Exactly. And then I guess kind of closing up here, is there anything that you would give for advice for throwers out there that are, or even just athletes in general that are working towards achieving their dreams someday? Whether that means they're in middle school, they want to go make the varsity team in high school someday, or they're trying to throw in college or even go from college to professional. Do you have anything that you think would be knowledgeable for them or what you would tell yourself?
I would say, like, I have an advice for people who wants to go college that are from another country. And that would be like, I feel like a lot of people think, oh yeah, I need to like hire an agency or like someone that helps me get a scholarship. Like you don't have to do that. You can just text the coaches or the school.
Yeah,
send a DM and be like, hey, I'm interested in coming here. Like, would you be interested? And then have your own terms and conditions. Like, yeah, I want this much percentage for me to go here and stuff like that. So you don't have to pay someone else to get to make you go college, you know. But it can be easier to, like, you can do it if you want to, but you don't have to. You can just take coaches, you know. Yeah, and I don't feel like a lot of people know that. But yeah, then I would say, if you want to become good, like, this is what I've done my whole life. Like, I have dedicated like my whole life to track and field. Like I never went on vacations when I was younger. Like, I never went out and partied when not never, but like, if my friends would go out often, like, I'd be like, no, I can't, you know. And kind of, I've been prioritizing track and field my whole life. And I think you kind of have to do it, like, to become good, but you also have to have a balance, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, for example, in the summer, that's when our European session is like going. A lot of my friends would go on vacations, like, hey, do you want to come to Greece and stuff like that? But that's when I'm in season, you know, so I can't go on vacation when I'm in season.
Exactly.
So you kind of have to prioritize. Like, that's what I mean when I've been prioritizing track.
Yep. Yeah. Find your big picture.
Yeah.
Just take your little steps towards it.
Yeah.
And consistency.
Yeah, just be consistent. Do your practice, but don't over practice. And I would say the most important thing is that you have fun. Like, you have to like what you're doing, because if you're not, it's going to be miserable.
Exactly. It's not every day is going to be fun, but the whole objective is we're doing this for fun. Like, it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
Especially, like, unless you're throwing the weight throw. But you know, like throwing stuff is fun. Like, it brings joy to us, and I guess a lot of other people out there to throw. And at the end of the day, I feel like that's also something that people should keep focusing on, you know? Like, you're doing this for fun. If it's not fun, do something.
Yeah, do something else.
Just find, like, be you. Don't be anyone else.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, alrighty. I guess that'll wrap up this episode of the Throw Zone. We'll be staying up to date with Axelina as she continues on her indoor season and outdoor season and professional season this year. So you're going to see her name a lot. So make sure to give Axelina a follow and stay up to date with all of her competitions. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. All right. Peace.
Peace out.
Okay.